Welcome back to the deep dive. So we looked at the sources you sent over, and wow, they paint a picture of the 1920s, but maybe not the one most people think of.
Right, not exactly flappers and jazz. Not this time. We're heading to Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah, specifically into this period of, well, real fear that gripped the city, especially on those quiet, humid nights, sort of shattering that veneer of normalcy.
Exactly. We're looking at these places called lovers' lanes, these secluded spots just outside town.
Supposed to be private, innocent places for couples back then.
That was the idea. But in 1923, things changed drastically. They became hunting grounds. And that brings us to the focus of this deep dive, Charles Barr.
That shift sounds terrifying, and what really jumps out from the sources right away is this stark contrast with Barr himself.
Absolutely. Born 1903, his father was a Baptist minister, believe it or not. He was married, held down a job.
A very specific job, too, chauffeur and household servant, especially for the Van Fossen family. He built this image of being completely trustworthy, didn't he?
He really did. It's the perfect camouflage, isn't it? And think about Memphis in the 20s being a chauffeur, especially later linked to the orbit of someone like E.H. Crump, the political boss.
So that gave him mobility and anonymity.
Precisely. He wasn't some drifter. He was part of the scenery, someone you wouldn't look twice at. But underneath, the sources say he had this burning desire for wealth and status.
A status he felt he couldn't get legitimately.
Apparently not. And he decided, look, the fastest way is armed robbery.
But not banks or stores. He went after couples, isolated couples. Hence the name the press gave him, the petting party bandit. Grim.
Very grim, and also the Black Panther. So our mission today is really to unpack how this guy hiding in plain sight pulled off these attacks and how the police eventually caught up.
Okay, so let's get into his strategy. It seems disturbingly simple.
It was. Calculated, though. Find couples parked way out, somewhere remote. Easy targets, he figured. Less chance of witnesses, less chance of quick help arriving.
And he starts this campaign, when exactly?
January 27th, 1923. That's the first documented one. He actually borrowed a car from a friend for this.
Borrowed a car. Okay, so he's already thinking about distancing himself, and he just goes looking for a target.
Seems like it. Found a secluded road. He was clearly, putting his plan into action.
And the first victims?
Duncan Waller, a 19-year-old salesman, and his mistress, Ruth McElwain Tucker. They were just parked. Barr walks up on foot, pulls out a .25 caliber pistol.
And just like that?
Shoots Waller instantly. Tucker apparently panicked, ran from the car into a field.
Oh, God. Did she get away?
No. Barr chased her down. The sources state he assaulted her, sexually assaulted her, and then shot her dead, too. Took jewelry, personal items, and just vanished.
Unbelievable. And the aftermath.
A milkman found the bodies the next morning. Police arrived, started investigating, but nothing. No witnesses, no real leads, just this sudden wave of fear hitting Memphis. Whispers about a killer in the shadows.
So after this incredibly brutal double murder, Barr just stops.
He goes quiet. For months, he's back to being the respectable chauffeur. It's fascinating, that silence. Was he scared? Laying low? Just, selling the loot?
Hard to say. But the ambition didn't go away, apparently.
No, seems the money wasn't enough, or maybe the urge returned. Because on May 29th, 1923, he strikes again. Same hunting grounds, those remote roads.
But this time was different?
Critically different. This attack ultimately led to his downfall.
Okay, who were the victims this time?
W.O.B. Spencer, he was a grocery store executive, 27, and Laura Leeton Johnson, a school teacher. And here's where it deviates. Johnson actually saw Barr coming towards the car. Maybe something seemed off, his approach. She screamed.
Ah, so she alerted Spencer.
Yes. But Barr reacted instantly, shot Spencer almost immediately. Then he shot Johnson. But, and this is crucial, she survived the shot. Wounded, but alive and conscious.
Wow. Okay, so Barr has a living witness now. What does he do?
He demands her jewelry first, quickly. Then he forces her, injured as she was, into his car.
He's trying to remove her from the scene, probably to finish the job somewhere else.
That seems the logical assumption. But Laura Johnson, incredible bravery. As he's driving away, she manages to leap out of the moving car.
No way! While injured.
While injured. She gets away, finds a nearby house, raises the alarm. The police are called.
Her survival must have completely changed the game.
Absolutely transformed it. Now they have 3 murders, 1 survivor. Charles Barr instantly becomes the most wanted man in Memphis. Her testimony, even if the description wasn't crystal clear, I mean, imagine the circumstances, dark, terrifying, fast.
Of course, it would be hard to get a perfect look.
Right. but she provided enough. Details about the attack, the sequence, the weapon. It confirmed his pattern.
Okay, so they have a survivor, but maybe not a perfect ID. How do investigators catch a guy like Barr, who seems almost like a ghost, when the main witness testimony has limitations?
That's the critical point. The sources show the police had to shift gears. They realized his motive wasn't just violence, it was fundamentally about robbery. Right, getting valuables for that status he craved.
So, follow the money. Or follow the stolen goods, rather.
Exactly. Forget chasing shadows in the dark based on a partial description. Focus on the loot. He always took jewelry, watches, things he could sell. Things that were traceable.
That sounds like solid police work, but tedious.
Incredibly tedious. For over a year, detectives, especially Sergeant John Long, were just grinding it out, checking pawn shops all over Memphis. They figured eventually, this guy needs cash. He's going to try and sell this stuff.
And did it work?
It paid off. Big time. July 1924. So, more than a year after the first murders, Sergeant Long is in a pawn shop and spots a watch.
Not just any watch.
A watch that matched the description of one stolen from Ruth Tucker, the first victim. Way back in January 23.
Wow, that's the break? The needle in the haystack?
That's the one. And the pawnbroker, he remembered who pawned it. The trail led straight to Luata Barr.
Charles Barr's wife.
Charles Barr's wife. Suddenly, that respectable facade just starts to crack wide open. You can imagine the whispers, the shock, the trail of the petting party bandit leads to the chauffeur for a prominent family. Someone linked to the Crump political circle.
So they connect the dots. What next? A search.
Immediately, they got a warrant, searched Barr's car, and there, in the trunk,
the gun.
the .25 caliber pistol, the murder weapon used in both attacks. Physical evidence, irrefutable.
Game over then.
Pretty much. Faced with the gun, the watch linked to his wife, Barr confessed, provided a full written confession admitting he killed Waller, Tucker, and Spencer.
So the confession seems solid. They have the weapon. They have the pawn shop connection. The trial should be straightforward.
You'd think so, but there's always the legal process. Barr actually refused to get his own lawyer. The court had to appoint public defenders for him, Grover McCormick and Floyd Creasy.
And their strategy, what could they even argue?
Their only viable angle was to attack the confession. They argue the police coerced it out of him, that it wasn't voluntary, and therefore it shouldn't be allowed as evidence.
The classic coerced confession defense. How did the prosecution respond?
They pushed back hard, insisting it was totally voluntary, totally truthful. But they were smart. They didn't rely only on the confession for the trial. They focused the main charge on the murder of W.M. Spencer.
Why Spencer specifically?
Because for Spencer's murder, they had that second layer of proof.
Laura Wheaton Johnson.
Lori Wheaton Johnson. Her survival and testimony were absolutely pivotal again. She didn't just describe the attack on the stand. She identified something crucial.
What was that?
A wristwatch. One the police found in Barr's home during their investigation. She identified that watch as the one Barr took from Spencer's body that night.
Okay, that's devastating. Confession, murder weapon, and stolen property identified by the surviving victim found in his house.
Exactly. That combination basically dismantled the defense's argument about the confession being the only thing linking him. The jury saw it clearly.
So the verdict.
Guilty, first-degree murder. It was October 28, 1924. A few days later, November 6th, he was sentenced to death.
Did he appeal?
Oh yeah, he fought it every step of the way. The sources detail a lengthy appeals process. Went up to the Tennessee Supreme Court, denied. Then the U.S. Supreme Court denied again. Finally, he appealed to Governor Austin Peay for clemency.
Also denied?
Also denied. The legal road ran out.
So the sentence was carried out?
Yes. August 20th, 1926, Charles Barr was executed in the electric chair. He was only 23 years old. Apparently the 24th person executed by electrocution in Tennessee since they adopted it.
23. It's shocking how young he was and how short his actual reign of terror was, less than 5 months in 1923.
Right. But the impact, the psychological scar on Memphis was huge. It wasn't just the number of victims, it was the way he did it. Taking these private, supposed to be safe places and turning them into, well, ambush sites. It was sinister, audacious.
You can see why it left such a mark. And apparently, even after he was caught and convicted, people weren't satisfied.
No, the public, the newspapers, they kept speculating. They couldn't quite believe his killing spree just started and stopped so abruptly in 1923. There was a lot of talk that he must have been involved in other similar attacks before that.
Any specific ones?
Yeah, the sources mentioned 2 in particular. An attack on a policeman, Aubrey Thomas and Zelda Foster, back in October 22, and another one in January 23, right before the Waller Tucker murders, involving DeWitt Sink and Thelma Cunningham. Similar circumstances, couples attacked in cars, one person killed or badly hurt.
Did Barr ever admit to those? Or did police find links?
He always denied it,
Yeah.
right up to the end. And investigators, try as they might, never found any solid evidence connecting him to those earlier crimes. Apparently, he was responsible for the 3 deaths in 23.
Hmm. But that lingering doubt, that speculation, it brings up some really interesting questions about this case, doesn't it?
It really does. First, just that core issue. How do you reconcile the two sides of Barr? The minister's son, the trusted employee, the guy living this ordinary life, with the monster carrying out these calculated, brutal attacks. His respectability was his shield.
Yeah, his access and perceived trustworthiness gave him cover.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And then there's the policing angle. It's kind of a lesson, isn't it?
Hmm.
In the end, it wasn't some dramatic chase or brilliant psychological profile. It was patient, methodical detective work, following the stolen goods.
That focus on the pawn shops, tracking that watch,
Mm.
that was more effective than trying to get a perfect ID from a terrified victim in the dark.
Exactly. The loot became the loudest witness, in a way.
So, wrapping this deep dive up, the Charles Barr story is just terrifyingly illustrates how easily someone can wear a mask, right? Living one life while doing monstrous things in secret.
Absolutely. And the case really hinged on that combination. The incredible courage of Laura Wheaton Johnson surviving and testifying, coupled with that persistent, almost mundane police work of tracking stolen items.
A perfect storm in a tragic way.
Yeah. It really underscores that sometimes the biggest threats are the ones you'd least suspect, hiding right there in plain sight. Which leads to that final thought,
Oh, how about the public speculation?
Right. That insistence, even after he was caught for the 23 murders that he must have done more earlier. Why do we feel that need? Why do we want to believe that evil like this has to have a long, traceable history, rather than just erupting? What does that tell us about how we try to make sense of the darkest parts of human behavior?
Something to definitely think about. We'll leave you with that until our next deep dive.
If you enjoyed this video and want to dive deeper into more cases like this one, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to like the video if you found the story compelling, and share it with your friends and family who might be interested in true crime and mysteries. By subscribing, you'll stay up to date with all our latest content and join a growing community of curious minds exploring the most fascinating cases. Click the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything.